Uh-oh, here we go again. Market is peaking out. We've had a ton of value and appreciation over the last 3 or 4 months. Inventory's been really low, but interest rates are going 7.25. Buyers are starting to pull back and they're starting to wait this one out. We know that as interest rates rise and sales start to slow down, we know as prices start to drop, sellers hold off, buyers wait, and those can be very challenging as a real estate agent. In fact, there's going to be opportunity left on the table, and people are going to miss out if we cannot have the right conversations to showcase how to get the results they want, even in this market. Here's a training of conversations we're having with our clients in the market to showcase how to get the best deals for buyers and sellers, how to get your price, even though the interest rates are high. If we're looking at the market on where it was at last year and where it is at right now, we're seeing some similarities, right? So right here, you're seeing April, May. This is when rates were in the 7.5 range. And then you saw the market come down 15% by December, right? And then it flattened out and rates were in the 5.75, low sixes. People started to get used to it. The winter months were slowing down, and then market took off. And what's interesting enough about that is usually the prices, if you look historically, right? If we go back, let's say 10 years and we look at pricing and you look at like where the prices were jumping the most, it was in that May, June range. And then come July, August, it would come down, right? And those were in the 18. So the market tends to peak out in the summer and then start to come down a little bit and keep rolling. So with sellers, okay, right now with sellers, if you've got sellers on the fence or the sellers that like, I've got a couple listings that we've been talking about waiting and going to market. Like it's like go to market as soon as possible. And when you price aggressively. And what I mean by pricing aggressively is if the market, if like, let's say a comp sold yesterday for $850, price it at $835 or $840. Well, why would I price it for less? You want to look like the limping deer right now. You want to look like the non-desperate seller. You want to look like the seller that is just trying to get the property sold and not going to be unreasonable. So how that correlates with this, Nathan, is over the last 2 months, you did a coming soon for this property for how many weeks? Like 2 weeks?
Well, yeah, we were actually on market, but yeah, we did like 2 weeks before we could do first showing, which was this past.
You had 2 weeks of built up showings.
Yeah.
You got everybody over the last 2 weeks. And unfortunately for this seller being difficult, right? The seller was being difficult. He should have been on the market 2 weeks ago. He probably would have been okay. But then he waited and waited and waited. And now the interest rates have jumped literally in that same time. That property, 0.75% of interest is 7% more expensive in monthly payment without price changing. So he literally just started because of his hesitations to get the property on the market, he may have just cost himself. So when's your follow-up call with the seller?
We're gonna do a call Wednesday. I still have to get in touch with a couple more agents that came by. So it's not all the way dead. I mean, it's not dead at all, but
not even close. So when you
Wednesday.
have these conversations with these agents, this goes for anybody who's got a listing right now that isn't selling immediately. When you have the conversation with the agents, ask them what they thought about price. Ask them what their buyers thought about price. Ask them what their buyers thought about price based on with interest rates into consideration.
Okay.
And if they're like, well, they thought it was, a nice house, just not the right fit. Be like, listen, you're not going to hurt my feelings. It's not my house.
Yeah. What
did the buyer specifically say? Why did they say no? Okay. Because if you go through this price, and this is not me panicking. This is not me being, but this is, listening. Yeah, no, I know. But this is not me, any of that stuff. But the fact of the matter is there's a good chance that we either A, flatten out, or B, we start to come down. And if we start to come down and we're not educating the seller and putting them in a position to win, then you're not going to get paid.
Yeah, it's true.
So when you're following up with these sellers, right? When you're following up with these sellers and you want to ask them questions, and I'm sorry, when you're following up with these buyers agents, you want to ask them questions about, hey, what were the buyers' thoughts explicitly? What they think about in regards to interest rates, and what they think about the property. Why are they not making an offer? Are they thinking, would they take the property if it was 15K lower? Right? Ask these questions when they're not making the offer.
Okay, got it.
So you can get your data and get your information. Then when you go back to the seller, you've got to get this graph out, right? So you can literally go here and pull out these numbers. Don't just go to the seller and say, well, interest rates are going up and it's impacting. Go to the seller and say, hey, listen, over the last 10 days, 12 days, interest rates were here. Now interest rates are there. If you need to tap into your lender and have them provide you with some sort of graph like this on interest rates as well, bring this to the table. Bring this to the table because you can say things along the lines like, well, if real estate is cyclical, well, if real estate history repeats itself, okay, the conditions of where we lost 15% and then the numbers are going to show up. The May number hasn't shown up, but based on all the offers we're putting in, I would imagine that May comes out with an average price similar to the peak. So we went from peak 15% down. And by the time the numbers come out next week on like the 5th, 6th, or 7th, we'll be back at that peak. And so you can literally point to the sellers and say, hey, here's what happened. And you'll notice that it was 2 or 3% every month, which means that if we miss the mark, we're at least 2 or 3% overpriced.
Yeah.
Now, the sellers that sat around and waited, and they waited a month or two because maybe, and the reason why I'm bringing this to your attention is, I don't think we found the right buyer yet. That's seller talk right there. That's not agent talk. You had the property on the market for 2 weeks. You worked your ass off to make sure that everybody was followed up with. You did an incredible job for this seller. You literally followed up with everybody. Now you got to complete that loop, and then you got to go back and present it because you'll probably be, if you want to get this property sold in the next 30 days, you're going to probably need to be reduced by like 5% and redo everything and tell them, we got to do another open house. We got to do more showings. We got to change. If you don't want to lose 15% of equity. Now, what makes that conversation irrelevant? What completely makes whatever I just said irrelevant?
If we get an offer, or if
yeah.
Yeah.
If you get an offer, that's one. That's not the one I was thinking of, but that is one. What's the other one?
If rates fall.
There you go. If rates all of a sudden fall. Now I just had a conversation with a lender this morning. And by the way, when we're in this market, you want a lender, in my opinion, you want a lender that studies the numbers on the mortgage side like we study the numbers on the real estate side, somebody you can trust. And I called him immediately this morning, had a conversation with him at 7:45, and got information on how did the markets open up today. He said, hey, we're seeing a little downward pressure, but inflation is still being sticky. They're still thinking about hiking the Fed rates. That's likely to come. It's not working. That means we got higher interest rates on the way. We had 15% appreciation in 3 months. It's not healthy. So when we're talking to our sellers, one, we want to do the right thing and get as much feedback. I don't care if an agent, if I call an agent twice that showed my property and they said they were going to make an offer and then they backed out, I'll call that agent 5 times to get the information.
Yeah.
And if they don't pick up the first or the second time, I'll say, hey, and I'll send a text message. Hey, I know you've been in a position where you've had a seller that needed to reduce and needed to get direct information. Help me look like a rock star for actually knowing why your buyers said they want to make an offer and then didn't. You're not going to hurt my feelings. Just give me the professional courtesy to give me the feedback directly.
Yeah.
I have no, like, the reason why agents don't make that call, they don't want to look annoying. I wish somebody would call me annoying for asking feedback after they said they were going to make an offer and didn't.
Yeah.
I'd pull up their production and be like, hey man, I know you've done 6 deals in the last 2 years and you're extremely busy. With that being said, I wish they would, right? And at the end of the day, even if you were dealing with a top producer and they're like, look, bro, I'm doing 6 deals right now. I'm like, congratulations. I remember when I had 12 in escrow. I totally understand how busy that is. And we're in this business because we're awesome, right? And we're in this business to help each other out. I'm not asking you to do anything other than give me a professional courtesy so I don't look like an asshole to my client. Help me out.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll send you $100 for that free coaching you gave me about how busy you are. Just tell me what the scoop is, right? So like get in there and get that information. I'd rather let an agent think I'm annoying so that I look like a rock star to my seller and I get all the information they need to drop the price and help them accomplish their goals.
Mm-hmm. You're right.
Plus, there's a 30% chance they're going to be out of the business anyway.
It's true. Yeah, and you're right. I think it's just I think on this one, I think it was, you're right. Like when we first put on the market, we were getting requests and we still getting requests, but like we maybe had a couple people that couldn't see it. So I just don't think it had enough exposure. And also I think that, just buyers right now, they are a little bit finicky because of rates. And I think if we're able to, educate, like you said, educate the seller, got to go and show them everything, get the real feedback from it. There's some people that I still need to get in touch with that I think, but I mean, you know how it is. If they're going to buy it, they're going to call you. So,
yeah. And so I'll give you an example of this. Where I am direct and with clients, right? Like, cause my concern with that, Nathan, is if you go into this meeting and he's like, well, we've only been on the market 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And, well, we haven't found the right buyer. And like, I appreciate where you're coming from. I really do. And in a normal market, 30 days is not a long time. However, I literally spent 2 weeks talking to every single person that saw this property online and saw this property, like by scheduling showings. I followed up with everybody 3, 4, 5, 6 times. Every single motivated and qualified buyer that actually wants to pull the trigger, they know about this property. They've seen it. They're not making offers. Now, you have 2 choices. Either one is cool with me. Now, this is bold because one of them means you're not going to get paid, but don't worry, they don't really want that one. If they did, they wouldn't be on the market. You have 2 choices. A, you can let history repeat itself and watch your property diminish with value, waiting for the perfect buyer. And by the way, when the perfect buyer comes around, they're not dumb. Let me tell you a story. I went and did a showing yesterday. This was a property that should have sold in 5 days. Been on the market 5 days. There was literally 7 or 8 showings yesterday. There was 7 or 8 showings the day before. Buyers looked at me and they said, Josh, do they have any offers? I said, nope. Talk to the agent. No offers yet. They said, why are there no offers on the property, Josh? I said, interest rates. And it's got a weird entrance to the backyard, small backyard, but interest rates. What do you think their next question was?
What are rates?
Nope. Do you think we can get it for less than asking price? Why would any motivated, qualified buyer, while all the other buyers are backing out, while all the other buyers are having issues with interest rates, why would they pay full price? Because they are feeling generous?
Yeah.
The next question that my buyers ask me, can we get it for less? Mr. Seller, I'm telling every single one of my buyers, sit tight, prices are coming down. So you have 2 options. Option A, you hope and you wait that the most motivated and qualified buyer who already knows about the property changes their mind in the next couple of weeks, or maybe somebody else new in the middle of all the turmoil going online is like, you know what? I really feel like buying a property. Ooh, what's this property that's been on the market for 3 or 4 weeks with no offer? You know, let's go take a look at it. Ooh, I like it. It's been on the market 3 or 4 weeks. Interest rates are high. Nobody wants to buy except me. You know what? I'll just pay full price. You can hope for that. I'd rather go play the slots at the casino, sir. Or option B, we can do the right thing. We can make an aggressive move before people know pricing is coming down. Because once a buyer sees pricing's coming down, what do? What do most buyers do once they see prices coming down?
They start looking again. What do you mean?
They wait.
Oh, yeah.
They wait. When did the market pick up? Look at when the market picked up. It didn't pick up here. They waited, they waited, they waited, they waited, and then it took off because interest rates were low. But it just, once it started to come back around, once it started to just come back around a little bit, went from 750, 749, 750, 755, 800. The buyers wait. They wait. And they wait. And then they all come in and buy at the same time, which shoots prices up. So I personally would not be going into anything, especially on a property like yours, Nathan. I wouldn't be going in and be like, well, you know how these buyers are, but you know, they're finicky. Yeah, they should be. Rates are at 7.5 with all-time high prices. And last time it looked exactly like it does today, prices came down. So spend your, what if it was me, you got to call with him on Wednesday, time block an hour.
Yeah.
Call everybody, get them to tell you the truth, which is, I'm sorry, I couldn't convince my buyer to make an offer with interest rates up because they think prices are coming down and I can't prove to them they're not. That's the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And the house wasn't their dream home, their perfect home. It was nice, but it wasn't so good that they were willing to spend 7.5%, and they think prices are coming down, and I literally can't prove that it's not. So they're waiting. And,
okay.
then you say we got two options. Does anybody have any questions about that?
Nope.
How's everybody feeling, huh? This is all good stuff.
Probably better than me, huh?
This is all good stuff, though, by the way. This is all really good stuff for us. Michelle, did you get audio back?
I did. Yes. Thank you.
Good. So this is all really good stuff because here's the really cool part. If you're calling sellers, if you're calling buyers, if you're calling people that are if you're doing prospecting, okay, this is the good part of the news in the market that we're working with, is that it's messages like this that'll keep the market moving forward. Meaning there's going to be a lot of sellers, because when interest rates come down, canceled and expired properties, do they go up or down when properties stop selling?
They go up.
The amount of listings goes up. So if you're calling canceled and expireds, or you're dealing with sellers and they're saying, hey, I want to think I'm going to wait, and you start to have this conversation, hey, no problem, Mr. Seller, that's great. If you were to wait another 12 months and you lost 15% of value, would that change your long-term plans? Well, what do you mean? Well, the last time we were here, sellers said, hey, I'm going to wait. They waited 12 months and they ended up missing the market, and now it's going down 15%. And that's kind